Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Tel Aviv. Coming up in today's newscast, Israel begins to build the world's largest solar plant. An Israeli company unveils a life-changing marijuana product, and Israeli fashion designers make a splash at the Grammys. I'm Natasha Kirchuk here with the latest news in Israel. As the wave of terror rages on, the Israeli government is trying to determine who is behind the violence and how to prevent it. A new report by the Shin Bet reveals some surprising data. People in Israel are starting to call this wave of terror the next intifada, especially after 8 terror attacks were attempted yesterday. It doesn't matter what you choose to call the violence because the Israeli government is on a mission to identify where the terrorism is coming from. The Israeli security services claim that nearly half of the Palestinian attackers in the recent wave of terror have been under the age of 20. The report also says that more than 1 in 10 terrorists have been female. And we're definitely witnessing a wave of terror because 228 significant terror attacks took place between October 1st and February 10th. 2/3 of those attacks were carried out in the West Bank, and at least 30 Israelis have been killed since the start of the violence. Most of the attackers are apparently from the West Bank, but 9 were identified as Israeli Arabs and 36 were from East Jerusalem. Most shockingly, 22 of the attackers were under the age of 16. Israel is breaking another world record by constructing the largest solar plant on the globe. The power station is being built in the Israeli desert and hopes to make solar energy much more cost-effective.
What you see is the erection of a very large thermal solar planet that would contain 50,000 heliostat mirrors, which would reflect the sun on an SRSG on a height of 2,250 meters.
This massive solar tower will provide around 1% of Israel's electricity, according to an agreement with the Israeli government.
At peak power, we're producing 121 megawatts. It's about 1% of the electricity required in Israel at peak, and it provides energy for about 120,000 homes at that time.
Israel's aiming to fulfill 10% of the country's energy needs with renewables by 2020. The new energy plant will help reach that goal and should be fully built by late next year at a cost of over $770 million. Most solar power in the world is generated by photovoltaic panels, which can be installed almost anywhere from your roof to your backyard. It's a lot more difficult to build a solar power tower because it requires a lot of land and is only cost efficient in large-scale projects. Luckily, the Israeli desert is more than big enough for the new record-breaking tower.
We've gone to the latest generation of heliostats. These are the mirrors. 1 million square meters of mirrors surround our power tower. Our power tower will be amongst the tallest and therefore allow the highest energy density of any of these plants. We have advanced controls through Wi-Fi towers that are spread out throughout the plant, and we use the latest generation of steam power technology, steam turbines and generators provided by General Electric.
The tower will be surrounded by 50,000 computer-controlled mirrors to project the sun's rays. Although it's privately funded by the Israeli company Megalim Solar Power, the Israeli government has guaranteed to buy the plant's power at an above-the-market price. Megalim says their new tower is making massive strides, especially when it comes to more efficiently producing solar energy.
We're making strides in efficiency, we're making strides in compressing the time of construction, we're making strides in trying to merge energy storage with energy during the daytime, and therefore we're going down a learning curve that will help us to continue to offer solar energy at the most competitive rates. And everything that happens around us in photovoltaic and in other areas of renewable energy, we welcome it. It's a challenge, and we learn from each other going forward.
An Israeli company has developed a special capsule to treat pain for cancer patients, and it's made entirely out of marijuana. The company Cannabix Pharmaceuticals is estimating over $80 million in sales in 2019 and predicts that the legal cannabis industry will outstrip America's organic food and film industries within 5 years. Cannabis marijuana pill is already on sale in Israel and in Colorado, and now the company is developing a system that can use cannabis to help doctors evaluate biopsies more accurately. The US-based company was founded by Israeli researchers in molecular biology and cancer, and is collaborating with Israeli medical centers to develop more medical cannabis products. At this point, it may feel like second nature to send a text message on your phone, but for some people, communicating on touch devices isn't so simple. A new Israeli app has found a way to help people with disabilities communicate more easily, and it's having a huge impact. Omri Maman is the developer behind EasyBoard, and Dana Kappel is an occupational therapist who's using the app to help her community. Omri,
Yes.
so tell us a bit about this special app.
This app is designed for children with disabilities to help them acquire motor skills because they really have difficult time to typing and learn it quickly. So we developed an app that creates a configurable extension keyboard for iOS. You can change the colors, you can change the letters, you can change everything almost, and it's really exciting.
And from what I understand, you actually created this app out of goodwill to really contribute to society. It wasn't to make money, right?
Yeah, SAP is part of their CSR project, help the community to develop all kinds of apps, and we created in collaboration with Beth Shapiro to really help the children to type better.
So Dana, your organization specifically requested this app. Why was that?
People with disabilities, our purpose as therapists and people who work with people with disabilities is to help them become more active participants in their daily activities. And in using an iPad, typing is extremely important. It's important for emailing or messaging or searching on the internet. And many people with disabilities use the iPad for communication, and they need to be able to type. The keyboard on the iPad isn't customizable, and it's not quite accessible. And we needed to find a solution to help customize it for people who needed something a little bit different.
And so what kind of impact has it had on your community so far?
Well, the fact that we're able to change and customize according to color, I can create a top row of one color, the middle row of a keyboard a different color, and the bottom row another color. And what that allows is it gives another visual hint, just a different hint for people when they're typing. If it's very difficult to constantly be scanning the keyboard looking for the letter that they're looking for, this makes it that much easier and makes their typing a little bit quicker, because typing can be fatiguing, can be laborious. It's very difficult all the time to be looking for the same letters.
Right, and so we see a lot of these technological advances in society that, they're considered to be groundbreaking in a lot of senses, but they're not always necessarily as easy for certain communities. And then that's also the opposite, right?
Yes, mobile technology has been somewhat of a revolution for people with disabilities. It's provided fantastic solutions to help them participate in a more active way. They can play games, they can communicate, they can use the same technology that everyone else much easier than, gives them very good solutions to things that they have otherwise had trouble with.
So, Omri, I understand that the company that you work with actually has developed a lot of other apps as well to contribute to the world. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, about a year and a half ago, the SAP developed an ALS application that help monitorize and record the lives of ALS patients. This data could, in the future, maybe help us to learn better about this disease and maybe find treatment and better the lives of the ALS patient.
Well, it's really beautiful to see what you guys have created together, and hopefully this app will actually, help other communities around the world.
I'm sure.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. So thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Israelis made a big splash at the Grammys last night, even though they didn't take home any awards. Instead, some top Israeli designers had their big moment on the red carpet, and you won't believe which superstar was showing them off. International diva Beyoncé wore an Israeli-made dress while she presented at the 58th Grammy Awards last night. The R&B superstar presented Bruno Mars with his Record of the Year award and showed up wearing a white wedding gown by the Israeli designer Inbal Dror. The Ashdod-born designer studied in Tel Aviv before apprenticing in Milan, and her gowns start at $9,000 a piece. The gown Beyoncé wore is part of Dior's Spring 2016 catalog, and she definitely looked fabulous. And that's not all. Fashion critics across the board loved Beyoncé's look, saying it's one of the best they've ever seen. Critics loved her fashion choice, and it looks like Israeli wedding designers might just become a regular fixation on the red carpet. And now for our Hebrew word of the day. Israelis are an emotional bunch, and that's probably because they put their hearts and souls into almost everything that they do. So today's word is neshama, which means soul in Hebrew. The word neshama refers to a person's inner being, which has lots of deeply spiritual meanings in Hebrew. On the other hand, Israelis love turning serious subjects into slang, and neshama is a prime example. It happens to be one of the most popular pet names in Hebrew. So if your Israeli boyfriend calls you neshama sheli, he probably really likes you. He's literally calling you his soul, which sounds a little more poetic than sweetie, right? Even though the phrase is pretty meaningful, some Israelis also use it casually and often say it to strangers. So if you're in a grocery store and the cashier calls you her neshama, don't get too flattered. She's probably just trying to be nice. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. Keep your sunglasses on hand because the sun is shining in Tel Aviv. Wednesday is supposed to be 78 degrees and sunny. Thursday should be partly cloudy, but the temperature is expected to go up to 79. So in other words, it's time to take a day off and head to the beach. All right, everybody, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.9 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at ILTV.tv, and don't forget to check out our new evening update every night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tonight.